Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam.
Thank you very much, sir, for providing me this opportunity for your precious interview. I hope that this will be very valuable for my research. As I observed your classes and those observations of your classes were also very valuable. I learned a lot. Before I start my question, I would like you to introduce yourself, sir.
Thank you, sir, for having me on this very precious and valuable and gigantic task of PhD research. And I am really happy I would be contributing something towards your research project. My name is Shaukat Ali, and I am also a PhD scholar and taking some courses as a visiting faculty member. And in the morning, I am serving as a government servant in Islamabad Model College, FED. Thank you.
Sir, would you like to share your teaching experience, particularly teaching at undergraduate level?
Yeah, this experience certainly there are things that are relative and that varies from person to person. But as far as I am concerned, my experience teaching at undergrad grad level is really wonderful. Students are really cooperative and some of them are very energetic, and इसमें कोड स्विचिंग हो सकती है
Yeah, क्यों नहीं?
इसमें मेरा भी आई मीन काफ़ी सारा कंट्रीब्यूशन है कि आई टोटली ट्रीट देम डिफरेंटली आई एम नॉट as my traditional teacher, and from the very first day I gave them a task to write an article for a newspaper or any magazine and of your choice, and if you succeed to publish your article, so I'll give you the full marks out of sessional marks. So this experience of mine has been wonderful. In previous semester I would like to quote a out of 56, 46 guys published their articles in newspapers, and that is really encouraging for me as well as for the student, and they think that they have meaning what they are studying. Their study and their stay at university is not meaningless, and they find some new avenues, and they also think this is not a traditional kind of teaching class.
Fine. Sir, my first question is regarding teaching of culturally loaded items. First thing is whenever we start interaction with foreigners, the first thing which we come across is the greetings. Just like when we start our greetings here, we say Assalamu alaikum. And these greetings we also come across while teaching language and literature in our classes. Uh, just like as good morning, good evening, and hello, hi, these kind of the greetings are there. So, what do you think how important these greetings are as far as our interaction with the foreigners is concerned? That how important is it to know the greetings of the others' culture?
Yeah, thank you. This is very important question, and as you already have used this term culturally loaded, greetings are culturally loaded, no doubt. But first of all, greetings are your emotions. They are least cultural than emotional, and you are passing your welfare, your best wishes, your good wishes to some other parties. My language might be changed. Good morning, assalamu alaikum, hello, hi. Language might be, but the connotation of these greetings are the same. And when we bracket them or brand them with a culture, so I think it is एक तरह की जाति
Yes.
के इमोशंस आर इक्वल और उनका एक ही मकसद है कि आपने दूसरे को गुड विशेस दें. एंड वी विल टॉक अबाउट culture and importance of culture later on, but their importance as culturally loaded greeting is also important.
Fine, sir. I got it. Certainly, when we say Assalamu alaikum, it is also a sort of dua prayer,
Yeah,
and good morning is also a dua.
yeah,
So you are very right that their connotations are same, but they are there are some emotions which are attached to them. So, what do you think? Should we explain these greetings while teaching language and literature if we come across these greetings in our text?
yeah. Very important. Eh, Greetings to me, as I have said earlier, they are emotional.
So,
So emotion needs no explanation.
fine.
And if you are culturally rich people and you are, uh, I mean, you have internalized your culture to the great extent, you need not to explain these because all these greetings are already understood and they are common knowledge and everybody understand and emotions की जो लैंग्वेज होती है वो हर कोई समझ रहा है आप अपने बच्चे को प्यार से देखेंगे तो वो समझ जाएगा और आप उसी आंख से बच्चे को गुस्से से देखेंगे तो उसको पता चल जाएगा कि पापा का क्या मूड
Fine.
तो इसलिए मेरे नज़दीक इनकी एक्सप्लेनेशन इतनी इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं
So, so you are right that they, there is some emotional connotation and association with these greetings. You are very right, and you say that it is a common knowledge. So, and students should know. Of course, emotions can't be translated; they can't be completely conveyed through language, and maybe at times we are unable to convey emotions through greetings or through these languages, any sort of the language choices as well. But there are some appropriate use, for example, when to say good morning, when to say good night, or these kind of things as well. So, when we say that it is a common knowledge, have you ever assessed your students or evaluate your students whether they know this common knowledge or not?
yes this is important this is our sense of or rather I would say this is our understanding of time. How do you value your time? How do you assess your time? And your sense of time that is important. Because when we say good morning, it is commonly understood it is only in the morning. And when we say good noon, good afternoon, good evening, so all these are indicating the passing of time or a point of time in during your daily routines. So I mean this is not commonly taken by the student कि वो टाइम कॉन्शियस हो के ये चीज़ें यूज़ कर रहे हैं वो हम जिस कल्चर में रह रहे हैं या सोसाइटी में रह रहे हैं यहाँ गुड मॉर्निंग या गुड इवनिंग ही समझा जाता है बाकी चीज़ों को और मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम ऐसा भी होता है कि व्हेन यू से हाय टू समबॉडी सो ही रिप्लाइज अस्सलाम वालेकुम
Fine.
he replies in response to assalamu alaikum as if saying hi is forbidden.
Fine.
So I mean we are supposed to talk about these things. Why he is responding in assalamu alaikum instead of saying hello hi. So
माशाल्लाह सर वेरी अप्रोप्रिएट एग्जांपल बहुत ही मुनासिब आपने और बड़ी अच्छा आपने रेलेवेंट हवाला दिया वी विल कम टू इट लेटर ऑन एंड विद दिस आई एम गोइंग टू the next question that is about similes and the metaphor. These are very common thing,
yeah,
actually very common thing in language and literature. So, well, but the comparisons are different. For example, uh, one of the lines I was reading somewhere in modern drama, there was a comparison to fight like demon, shaitan ki tarah ladna.
yeah,
But in our culture, we have different comparisons. Maybe Ali ki tarah badar, yeah, to fight like Rustam or something like that. So, when you teach these similes or metaphor, how do you explain these comparisons to your students?
basically if I be true to myself And if I be true to replying this answer, replying this question, I am against comparison. I am against similes and meta. But I cannot resist these things because they are the part of literature and language as well. And certainly they are very integral part. But everything, every person, every culture, every society is unique in itself. When we compare one culture with another, one language with another language, it means we are demeaning some language and we are preferring the other language. इसी तरह जब दो पदों का कंपैरिजन करते हैं तो हम एक को छोटा साबित करने की कोशिश करते हैं और दूसरे को बहादुर या बड़ा या नेक या अच्छा साबित करने की कोशिश करते हैं. So therefore I am against comparison. And if you go through modern literature, and especially postmodern literature, तो आपको सिमिलीज एंड मेटाफर इस तरह के जो कंपैरिजन हैं ये बहुत कम मिलते हैं. You will find a very straightforward language, and that represent your routine from morning to evening and your jobs and professions and all these things in a very simple and straightforward words. But because, as I have said earlier, these things are an integral part of our language and literature, and we, being an emotional being, we rely on. Or apart from this, when we are unable to, why we use similes and metaphor to show our inability? We are unable to explain, present, and tell any situation to somebody, तो हम सहारा लेते हैं. और इसकी अगर आप मुझे अलाउ करें तो मैं मिसाल ये दूंगा. मौलवी अगर खुतबा दे रहे हैं तो वो जन्नत का नक्शा पेश करते हैं तो हमें हूरों का और शहद का बताते हैं. यस. और शराब का बताते हैं जो कि आई मीन वर्ल्डली चीजें हैं. वाई और जो मेरी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है कि ये उनकी इनएबिलिटी है कि वो जन्नत को असल रंग में हकीकत में हमारे सामने और अपने ऑडियंस के सामने पेश करें. तो सेम इज द केस विद टीचर लाइक अस, लाइक मी, we are when we are unable, so we, I mean, we to make the topic strange, we bring metaphors and similes brought in to make the student understand कि कुछ चीज़ें डिफेमिलियराइज हो जाएंगी, कुछ स्ट्रेंज हो जाएंगी और उनके लिए थोड़ी ये कैची हो जाएंगी. तो देयरफॉर उनको आइडिया ग्रास्प करने में आसानी होगी.
Fine, sir. What I have got from your conversation, maybe I am wrong, sir. If I am wrong, please correct me, sir. What I have got is that, sir, it's your take that we can't, and rather we should not compare
Yeah.
two cultures or two languages because every culture in itself, you can say,
Is a unique.
is unique. Yes, sir, you are right. But sir, question is, can our students understand without comparisons? For example, if we say, if we compare someone, if my friend is very wise and I want to compare him with an owl, just like as it is compared to the foreign culture. So, and if we don't explain, because language does have the meanings in its context, in its culture as well. So, can they understand these meanings? Can they comprehend properly these comparisons without comparison with our own culture or our own language?
Yes, you are right. And again, I would say this is our inability. We haven't trained our students to understand things in their context. We try to understand everything in our own context, in our own situation. We put every character, everything in our shoes, and then we try to understand it. And otherwise, we put ourselves in the shoe of character and try to understand that text. Why we are unable to understand all these things? Because we are not trained in thinking, we are not creative, and we rely on comparisons. Therefore, we do compare things in our classes, and even we write thesis on comparative studies. Rather, instead of appreciating you, I would comparing you with some Shazad,
Yes.
and this is unjustified. Eh, I must be focusing on your personality and separately, and I should focus on Shazad's personality separate. So if you try to train your student, they would be able to understand things in their own context.
Fine, sir. With this, I thought is fine that we should not compare them. Rather, they should understand them, and we should develop their critical thinking. And from your classes, I also found this point that you are training them regarding their critical thinking. You are involving them in the different research, and you have made your students to publish their article. That is very much appreciated. Regarding their critical, as far as the you can say regarding their improvement or enhancement of critical thinking is concerned, you are very right, sir. But sir, while teaching, uh, particularly modern drama, or in general, if we say uh, the overall objectives or all purpose of uh, BS English at this level, there must be some objectives, and HGC also has designed those objectives as well. So while teaching, what are a few objectives in, if there are some, while teaching? So there are some objectives. What are those objectives in your mind when you teach them?
Thank you. The prime objective I have in my mind in every class, not even in university, even in school and college, is to make my student think, to be creative, to be different is the only, and this is my prime objective
Fine.
of my teaching. Secondly, certainly as you have mentioned, AEC has given objectives, and universities do have their own objectives following the guideline given by AEC. Modern drama certainly it has its own objective when you are teaching as a after Renaissance or post Renaissance studies and Victorian and Romantics and these modern these are transitions. ए, एक एज में नॉवल डोमिनेंट रहा, दूसरे में पोएट्री डोमिनेंट रही। अगर हम रोमांटिक्स की बात करें तो उसमें नावल और ड्रामा उस तरह की हाईलाइट नहीं हुआ जिस तरह रोमांटिक्स हाईलाइट हुआ। तो इस एज में जो ड्रामा है वो डोमिनेट कर रहा है, और ये डोमिनेट क्यों कर रहा था? बिकॉज ऑफ फिलॉसफी। जो फिलॉसफी थी, जो क्लासिकल ड्रामा था, वो उस तरह फ्लरिश नहीं कर सका, आगे नहीं बढ़ सका। तो इतनी मॉडर्न चीज़ें थी, और ख़ास तौर पे ये जो थेरी फिलॉसफी कम थेरी थी, जैसे कार्ल मार्क्स हो गया, डार्विन हो गया, फ्राइड हो गया। जब इन लोगों ने अपने आइडियाज़ दिए, और जैसे नीचे हो गया, तो इनसे इनको एक एक्ट स्पीच एक्ट थेरी के तहत ड्रामे के अंदर ले आए और लोगों को बताने समझाने की कोशिश की। और बिकॉज सॉरी अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस, ये वो इशू थे जो मॉडर्न ड्रामा के अंदर रेज हुए हैं, जो सिर्फ थियोरेटिकली बयान नहीं किए जा सकते। उनके साथ परफॉर्मेंस दे के उन चीज़ों को और इनकी अहमियत को एम्फसाइज किया गया।
Fine, sir. So, sir, with this, certainly you're right that creativity, critical thinking, and appreciation of the literature, criticism on the literature, and there may be an objective that our students must be able to produce these kind of some kind of the piece of literature, maybe poetry, novel, short stories, etc. Sir, but there is one thing that I was going through the VMs and missions of the different federal universities. Some universities, as mentioned this thing, their department, these things, they also mentioned that it is one of their objectives of the this BS English program that they want to enhance the communication skill of their students as well. So when we associate this teaching of literature with their communication skills, so do you think that in the communication skills, culture also has some part, and should we include this thing in our objective to give some cultural understanding of the target language to our students or not?
Thank you, sir. This is very loaded question and very important question. There are three things. BS English is something different. Communication skill is something different. And third thing, you have mentioned communication to enhance their communication. This is different. First of all, I would say language carries the burden of culture. No language is free from culture. That is very much, I mean, enrooted towards culture. और वो उसके सारे अलुयन कलोकेशन एडियम्स एवरीथिंग वो लैंग्वेज के अंदर मौजूद है बट टू इक्वेट बीएस इन इंग्लिश एंड cultural studies and communication skills and the enhancement of communication, I think this is unjustified. BS in English is a degree and communication skill, everybody need communication. जो एक बंदा डिग्री नहीं कर रहा, जो यूनिवर्सिटी नहीं गया, जो स्कूल नहीं गया, क्या उसकी कम्युनिकेशन नहीं? और इसकी मैं एक मिसाल ये दूंगा कि आपके जितने एक्टर्स हैं या आपके प्लेयर्स हैं, खिलाड़ी, उन्होंने कौन सी यूनिवर्सिटीज पढ़ी, बट दे कम्युनिकेट। और हर बंदे की और उसका ये अलग एक डिबेट हो सकती है कि उसका कम्युनिकेशन कितना रिफाइन है और बीएस वाले का कितना रिफाइन। तो कम्युनिकेशन हर बंदा कर रहा है, कम्युनिकेट हर बंदे ने करना है और ये होता रहेगा। और बीएस इंग्लिश इज नॉट फॉर कम्युनिकेशन। मसलन जब मैंने एमए में दाखिला लिया तो पहला सेमेस्टर था और 4 सब्जेक्ट फेल और 2 पास, और जो हमारे हेड ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट थे उन्होंने भी फेल कर दिया और उन्होंने कहा कि आप किसी की तो लैंग्वेज भी ठीक नहीं। तो मैंने उनको कहा कि सर मैं ना एमए इंग्लिश जब हो जाएगा ना तो लैंग्वेज सीख जाऊँ। तो उन्होंने कहा कि यू आर सपोज टू कम टू एमए इंग्लिश, कि आपकी लैंग्वेज अच्छी, आप एमए इंग्लिश करके लैंग्वेज नहीं सीख सकते। अगर आपने लैंग्वेज सीखनी है तो अपना मर जाए और वहाँ कोई लैंग्वेज का सर्टिफिकेट या लैंग्वेज का डिप्लोमा है और लैंग्वेज सीख। तो लैंग्वेज इज टोटली डिफरेंट देन बीएस इन इंग्लिश। और इस्लामिक का बीएस इन इंग्लिश मीन्स या तो लिटरेचर में या लिंग्विस्टिक्स में, एंड लिंग्विस्टिक्स इज आल्सो नॉट अ लैंग्वेज।
Fine, fine. With this, I come to the next section of our questions. This is regarding expletives. Expletives, these are the swear words which are forbidden. Sometimes we call them taboos. In our language and the literature, there are so many expletives which are there for when we, if we give the examples of take example from the modern drama, there are so many expletives like preserve, to help with it, go to the demand, like there are so many expletives. Do you think that these expletives, when we go through the text, when we explain text while teaching, they worth explanations and we should explain them or not?
Yes, whether we should explain them or not, the student understand them well, because these expletives are, you are calling them taboos, they are part of our routine life, and all these kind of informal terms and phrases which are used in language why they are using these kind of language or phrases or terms only to to sound original, only to sound real. And I mean real in it is different from realism.
Fine.
For me, realism is hypocrisy. When we, I mean, when we clothe ourselves, when we clothe reality, that becomes realism. When you become acceptable to society, that is realism. And if you are not acceptable to society, so you are anarchist, whether you are right or wrong. और इसकी हिस्ट्री में बहुत सारी मिसालें हैं कि जिन्होंने सोसाइटी के साथ कंफर्म नहीं किया, जो रियलिस्ट नहीं बने, जो हमेशा अनार्किस्ट बने, तो आज वो हमारे पास बड़े बड़े नाम हैं और उन्होंने बहुत बड़े बड़े काम किए हैं और वो हमेशा उन्होंने अपने आप को हिस्ट्री में जिंदा रखा। लेकिन उनकी जो कंटेम्पररी सोसाइटी थी उन्होंने उनको एक्सेप्टेंस नहीं दी एंड दे बिकम अनार्किस्ट एंड एक्सप्लेटिव्स। आपका जो एक फंडामेंटल क्वेश्चन था, तो हम आई मीन व्हाई वी associate everything or treat everything as taboo. And I mean, in a formal life, in our routine life, every guy is using all these terms. What if they are and they have become the part of text? So I think there is nothing bad about it, but they need no explanation.
Fine, sir, I got it. You means that they need not an explanation. So, what do you think there, sir? Do they have any relation with the politeness? And do we want our students to be polite after having this degree? And if we want them to be polite, particularly having interactions with the others, foreigners, for example. So, politeness is desirable everywhere, though its strategies and the way of politeness may be different, but it is there. So, do you think that if we don't explain and without our explanations, they know the meanings of the expletives? So, without telling them the meanings, without telling them their appropriate use, we take it for granted that they already know these meanings. Do you think that their behavior will be polite in a target situation when while interacting with farmers?
Yeah. The emphasis is on politeness. Politeness is relative, or as you have mentioned, it is desirable and it is everywhere in either form. And we need to be polite not only with foreigner, with everybody. We need to be polite with our environment. We need to be polite with our animals. We need to be polite with our fellow human beings. And what you are asking, whether if they don't, what I have understood, if they don't understand the meaning of an expletive and they mistakenly used in front of any foreigner, oh, that expletive might be offensive for that foreigner. So whatever. I mean, there is a phrase we used to, not only a phrase, rather it is a proverb. Ignorance is a bliss or bless.
Fine.
So you can give him advantage to be an ignorant and foreigner can do. मसलन आप और मैं हैं, हमें पश्तो नहीं आता, तो हमारे जो पश्तो फ्रेंड्स हैं, पख्तून फ्रेंड्स हैं, पश्तो स्पीकर हैं, हम उनकी पश्तो जितने एक दो वर्ड्स आते हैं, हम बनी बनी टूटी इंग्लिश वो पश्तो उनके साथ बोल रहे होते हैं.
Sir,
तो why we, I mean, and they are not offensive about it. कि आपने पश्तो की टांगे क्यों तोड़ दी, वो हमें ऐसा कभी नहीं कहता. तो आई मीन when you are in an informal situation, तो आपको ये थोड़े से एक्सक्यूजेस अगला बंदा एक्सक्यूज कर दे।
बिल्कुल सर आपने ठीक फरमाया। टॉलरेंस जो है वो दोनों में, particularly when we are having intercultural communication, tolerance is a necessary characteristic. Without tolerance we can't understand and we can't communicate. So आपने ये कहा कि आपका ये टेक है कि टॉलरेंस जो है वो होनी चाहिए और होती है
Yeah.
दोनों साइड्स के ऊपर। बट एज यू आल्सो मेंशन्ड इन द बिगिनिंग, I was interviewing someone, just like as I am interviewing you. He was of the opinion that we have the hostility. Even at times we don't accept the greetings. If someone say good morning, and you also quoted this thing that we say assalamu alaikum because these things are emotionally, we are emotionally attached with them. So if we commit some grammatical mistakes or we use some inappropriate word that may be excluded at times, that may be accepted, but having used such kind of the word which is offended and which have some real meaning, particularly having the interaction with the foreigners. Do you think that that will also be tolerated by the foreigners in that case, particularly when this kind of the hostility is already there?
Yeah. My take is very different. Why we are so sensitive about foreigners? Why the foreigners are not sensitive about me? Whether they follow the same rules or criteria which you are mentioning about me. I am supposed to talk to a foreigner and I should follow all the formalities of him. Why don't he? Sorry, doesn't he follow mine? Why I am supposed to? And there is no hostility. Why are